Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Transylvania. My name is Fran and I'm in the maple business. As you can tell, it's still dark outside. It's still dark. I'm on my way to the sugar bush. A weather front came in during the night. The temperature is rising and the sap will flow, so I'm on my way right now to start up the vacuum pump and get things rolling. There. Get rid of some ice. Now we can build vacuum over here. Well, we're at 22 amps, so everything's still frozen. We'll make sure this isn't tripped, which it is not. So I know there's still a few leaks in the sugar bush that I have to fix yet. I'll get to them today and tomorrow. So it should be drawing more amps than that. So the woods is still, all the lines in the woods are still mostly frozen. So we're good. We had it just right. I didn't get here too early and certainly not too late. Okay, now it's time for me to hook up the compressed air. I use compressed air to pump my maple sap from the stations that you saw in the woods back here to the main sugar house. My air pipe here, the blue one, I just have to hook it up to my air compressor. I just put this tube through an open window and hook it up to the air compressor in there. So I just have to dig it out of the snow, that's all. Oh yeah, not too bad. Yeah. Why didn't I get all this stuff done ahead of time? Because I got involved in tapping and other projects, and it's kind of the way it is sometimes. Sugar season sneaks up on me. Next thing you know, sap's running. Scramble to make everything work. That's the way it is. All I have to do is pull it up, move it over, and hook it in. Here's something I got done ahead of time. I fixed that. That was busted. Oh yeah. Snow's deep over here. This is where the snow blower sent the snow. There we go. There we go. There it is, hooked up. Kind of crude. Okay, air compressor right there. There. Reset that. Let's crank her up here. This is a screw air compressor, 10 horsepower. 145 psi. Have to make sure I keep that clear. That's how it gets cool. So that's open, that's closed. This is closed. This will pressure up to 145 psi, then it'll unload and it'll just maintain pressure. If it drops below a certain value, I forget, then it loads up again. And I only run this air compressor during sugar season. I'm not going to pump any sap forward for a while because it's still too cold outside and I don't want to start pumping sap only to have it freeze up in my return pipe. If you remember, we did the trenching job this past fall and I buried a pipe in the ground to pump sap through, but I just haven't had time to fully verify that pipe yet, which what I want to do is excuse me, I want to pump water through it. I want to pump it up to a certain pressure, make sure there's no leaks, make sure it all works good before I'm fully comfortable. Plus I also want to rinse any dirt out of it from construction. I want to do all that before I'm fully comfortable with putting good maple sap through there. So for this year, we're using the overground forwarding pipe that brings the sap forward, and that's that blue line out there, and it ends at that tree right there. But that's the way that all works. Boy, this shop is messy, isn't it? Boy, I got to do some cleaning in here. Oh well. If a cluttered shop is a sign of a cluttered mind, what's the sign of an empty shop? You're supposed to say an organized mind, right? Alright, she's all pressured up. I just heard it unload, so let's put some air pressure on the tube. Open it slow. Now this tube, excuse me, my voice is changing. This tube is Oh, it's very long. I've got the main branch and then 2 different other branches of it. So it's probably about 37, 5,000, probably almost 7,000 feet of 1.5-inch plastic tubing like that I'm maintaining 100 psi. I've got my pressure regulator here set to 100 psi. When it gets to 100, it just maintains 100. It's safe value for that tubing. So pressure it up, see if there's any leaks. There was last year. I had to go and fix a couple leaks. Okay, she's unloaded at 140 plus psi. This thing is holding 100 psi. This connector here is leaking just a little bit, but that might go away after time. If it doesn't, I'll have to replace it. Now I have to hook up my sap tube that comes from the sugarbush. The end of this pipe here that's sticking out of the ground, that right there, that's the buried pipe that I did not have time to verify. I will not pump fresh sap, brand new sap, through a pipe that is unverified. Won't do it. I have to wait a little better weather this summer. It'll be a project, and I'm going to pump fresh water through it and wash any crud out of there, verify that it can hold pressure before I trust it with my maple sap, because it's buried 42 plus whatever inches down, and if there's something wrong down there, I need to know about it, and I don't want to learn the hard way by putting good sap through there. So this is last year's pipe right here, and we got to hook this back up. This end here will way over there, and I'll have to put the end up in the tank and excuse me, put a filter on it. Oh, here we go. This will be a project. I've already had to partially unbury it. It was buried in snow. So I'll just drag it. If I run into a problem, I got to go back and forth and free it up. Looks kind of melty today. It's about 35 degrees and the wind is blowing. You'd say, oh, the sap's gonna run. It will, a little bit. But maple trees don't like cold winds. When the wind blows cold like this, even if it's above freezing, maple trees kind of like to go back to bed. They don't wanna, they go back to bed. They don't give too much sap when it's blowing cold like this. So even though my vacuum pump's going and I got up here in time to turn everything on, I don't anticipate a whole bunch. Everything in the sugaring business is hard. Anyways, I started this business a few years ago. It's my dream. I used to do other things. It's not the fanciest operation. Every year it gets a little better though. I have a certain amount of budget money that I allow for annual improvements. See this piece here? This is what the filter goes around. After I put it in the tank, the filter goes around this thing here. It was caught on that other tube, so I put it over there, drag it a little bit further. We don't have to go far. Come on. Okay, I'll get this here and I'll get it ready, but I'm not going to connect it, because when I first start to send sap through here, the first little bit is going to come out kind of green and ugly looking. because there's been residual sitting in the line all summer, and it's probably going to be full of algae. Looks like I got to get rid of some ice out of there anyways. It's got ice in it. I'll have to let that melt a little bit. So that's good like that for now. I'll put the other end in the tank and put a filter on it, so I'm ready for sap. But I send the compressed air through the woods there, to the woods. I have those Wilden diaphragm air pumps, and that's what sends the sap back to me. I liked it because two reasons. I don't have a gasoline engine or something sitting there running in the woods. I'll have to take gasoline there. That's what I used to have. And with those Wilden air pumps, if the system clogs or something like that, if I get a clog in the system, the pump just stalls and sits there deadheaded. It doesn't pump, it doesn't heat up, it doesn't heat up any bearings, it doesn't, you know, none of that. It just, they just and they just sit there. And I can unclog it, and then it'll start pumping again. Beautiful system. Because with an overhead, over the land line like that, sometimes they freeze. As hard as I try not to let them freeze, they still freeze, which is why I installed the underground system here. That won't work until next year. So here's my line. Okay, we're up in my concentrate tank now. Now this is my fault. I usually use my concentrate tank to hold fresh water during the off season for washing and stuff, and I completely forgot that I had some left over in here, and over the course of this winter it froze into a block. It's probably somewhere between 100 and 200 gallons. It froze into a solid ice block, and I got to get a lot of it out of here so I can use it. This is my fault. This is a job that did not have to happen. I just completely forgot that this water was in here, so I gotta chop it out. Be real careful. Chunk there. There. Get these. Definitely a job that I did not have to set myself up for. Yep, learn your lesson. Definitely a job I did not have to set myself up for. Learn my lesson. Okay. Well, there, all cleaned out. Let this be a lesson to you. Never leave a bunch of cleaning water in your concentrate tank and forget about it and let it freeze over the winter. Whew, because this is what you got to do. You got to get it all out. That's the last sled load. Lots of fun. Time to go check out the woods again. And we're at 26 amps. So that's where we were yesterday. It tells me I still have a few leaks to fix, and I'll get to them. We'll start working on them now. This here sounds good. Here's the exhaust from the vacuum pump. It's got some air blowing out there, don't it? Yeah, so I got some leaks to fix. Releaser, this one looks mostly okay. Yeah, that's bubbling in there, which means I have low vacuum, which is coming from too many leaks. So I've got some ground to cover here. I got to get a handle on these leaks. It's very frustrating. I poured over these sugar bushes. There's a little leak right there. I poured over these sugar bushes this winter and replaced a lot of stuff, and I fire things up in the spring here and I get a bunch of leaks. It's very frustrating. See those doors popping open and shut there? Yeah, so there's a lot of wind going through there. So I got some ground to cover. I got to keep looking for leaks. It's the way it is. Well, here's a mainline tee. And here's where a mainline joins my wet-dry system, which goes down to the releaser. Now, without having some of the fancy equipment yet to tell me exactly where I have vacuum leaks, what I do is I listen. If I can show the camera right here, I listen to this thing as I turn on this and off this valve. If I can hear wind, like then I know I have a leak. And I hear it. So somewhere along this main line, this would be line number 3, we have leaks. Now, I don't know if I can get that in the camera or not. I don't know. Let's see if you can hear it. I don't know. I'll find out later. So I don't know if you can hear that or not. Anyways, so this is one of the lines here that I have to check for more leaks. What fun. All of these drops here I replaced, and I poured over this bush, and I tapped it and everything, and I still have leaks. It just baffles me. It's very frustrating. Here's a tree with a drop hanging right off. I had this one plugged because I put a second one on it, but I figured that later, because of some other information I got, that this tree really isn't big enough for 2 taps yet. So I plugged it. Well, it got pushed off, so we just put it back on. And it's not on very good, which I don't like. So I'm going to do something different, I guess. Oops. Let's turn this around the other way. There we go. I think I'm going to take it right off and plug it. Time for the doctor bag. There's my little cutters. Yeah, it's not on there too good. Let's just plug him right off. There. Now I don't have to worry about that falling off again. Pretty windy day in the woods. Well, I got sugarbush 2 handled. Now it's time to go back to sugarbush 3 and look for the leak problems that I have over here. Well, here I am back in Happy Valley for the night. I just got back from turning off my vacuum pump. The temperature got below freezing, so there's no sense in wasting electricity on running my vacuum pump all night, I guess. I wanted to show you a little bit more earlier, but the camera battery on this GoPro camera went dead. I'm not terribly impressed with GoPro cameras, I guess. This is a Hero 8. When I take it outside, the batteries just don't last very long. I make a bunch of short clips and all of a sudden I'm down below 50%, and whatever. It is what it is. I think I'm going to try a different camera. But anyways, that's enough for one day. We did a lot of things today. Everything from installing sap forwarding tubes to my tank, to cleaning out my mistake that I made in my in my concentrate tank, and going to the woods a few times to check on things and do more leak checks, and a lot of good exercise, that's for sure. It was a very long day. It's after 10 o'clock at night now, so that's about it. Time to say night-night. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like this material. Thank you very much for watching. Bye now.